Hello, viewers. Welcome to AfroPost Podcast. Today we have a guest, Mr. Mali, who is going to discuss with us the trends in Japa. Is it worth it? What are the implications of moving? Are there opportunities in these host countries? What should you expect? What are the challenges of current students who have moved over the past few years? Are there positive prospects for such movements? So just join us now as we begin. So, Mr. Mali, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your experience moving abroad over the past few years?
Thank you very much, Victor, and I'm happy to be on this platform with you. My name is Mali, as you have already heard, and I traveled abroad to Belgium in 2020, and you could imagine that was the year of COVID-19. It wasn't really easy because everywhere was basically dry. My first master's degree had to be online, fully online, so we didn't go to class or any of those. So social interaction was really, really low then. And again, that had effect on what jobs were available to do as a student in order to make ends meet and all. So I've been here for 4 years now, and I've completed a master's first in philosophy and secondly in law. And I currently work as a data protection manager with a firm that's into protecting personal data and privacy within the area of life sciences. So yeah, that's me.
Wow, thank you. Counting the years, 4 years is quite a time. Looking back in hindsight, would you have still not the idea of traveling? Will you compare? How do you compare it now, the journey so far and where you came from? Is it something you look back and say, yes, this was a great plan and I'm proud I made this move?
Absolutely, I would say it was a great plan for me because I think each person's experience is unique to them. For me, I would think it was a great idea. The Japa thing was a great idea for me at the time because.
Well, we've lost the voice here. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Of course, I do hear you.
You hear me?
Do you hear
I
me?
think I've lost you here. I can't hear you here.
Oh, that's crazy. Hello?
How about now? Can you hear me? Still hear me? But I can't hear you here. I'm wondering why.
Do you hear me now?
Hello?
Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, sorry. Please go on, please.
Yeah, so I was saying Jack buying was really worth it for me because I imagined that I couldn't have gotten a job after graduation if I had remained in Nigeria. But right now I have something that is substantial and it's something I love doing. So I think in the end, it was worth it.
Wow, that's good. Yours is quite a very laudable move in a sense because there are so many stories going on how people move with the intention of upskilling and then landing good jobs. Most of these graduates from stories of friends and people around that once you move there, you graduate, especially in the UK, you graduate. Let's say somebody read project management, you end up in a care facilities after masters, even in some cases PhD. This is quite a strange one because the rationale behind the movement is to get better jobs. I'm not saying low skill jobs are not good, but when you study a particular course, your end goal is to work in that field. Let's say somebody who did project management or let's say law, maybe working in a care sector, that's like a departure from the field totally. Do you think this is a common trend? And then how can people, you know, plan properly to learn better opportunity as against just moving and then finishing your degrees and then going back to a low skill job against the professional field you have studied in?
I do think that this is a very common occurrence, and honestly, I consider myself really lucky to have landed a job 7 months after graduating. For the UK, what I do know is that first of all, you have to look at the demography in terms of what kind of people are there. Everyone speaks English, right? And it means the jobs that are available for everybody who can speak English. So if the competition is much, the chances of landing something that is equivalent to what you studied, like upskilling, may not be really high. And in that case, people go for what is readily available. So when the desirable is not available, say they go for what is available, and then so many persons end up working in care facilities when in fact they should be working in areas where they have to put into use what they studied in school. So you could imagine people who did, like you mentioned, a master's degree in project management, and then you are looking for jobs for a long time. You are running out of luck and you're running out of time. And then you see that the only thing available to keep you back in this country is to go and work in the care sector. I'm not saying working in the care sector is bad, but you had ambitions originally before coming to the country, and at some point you discover that it wasn't really what I was expecting. So you end up working in care, and the disappointment could be there. And you may now want to ask, why not go back home then if you're not really happy working in that sector? But that's something else to talk
Why
about.
not go back home? That's an interesting question. Talking about going back home, I mean, look at the educational sector in Nigeria. I mean, it's a worrying situation. I remember during the COVID-19 lockdown, about between 2019 2023, no 2022, ASU was on strike for one full year. I mean,
Mhm.
that's absurd for such a big, rich country. I mean, rich country in theory to be on lockdown. I mean, for ASU to be on strike for almost 2 years or about a year plus, is that not a worrying trend? I mean, in the country where you and I are currently, the level of sophistication development in the educational sector, I mean, the investment in it's quite a lot. I mean, there's an intentional investment in the educational sector compared to where we are coming from. Do you think if the educational sector in Nigeria is good, people would still nurse the idea of moving abroad to study and upskill?
Well, that's quite an interesting question. And absolutely, it has everything to do with the educational standards of each country. Like you rightly mentioned, our universities are plagued with a lot of challenges, so that lecturers and professors are going on strike all the time, shutting down the educational home. And you can't have like a life plan saying, oh, I'll start this course and in the next 4 years I will graduate. There is the usual thing, okay, you think you graduate in 4 years, and ASU tells you general market, you get like two 2 more years for a
Yeah.
4-year course. And
Yeah.
your plans are scattered and all. So for most persons who go out, I think to have that educational certainty too, that if I start this course and I don't fail, at the end of 3 years, at the end of 4 years, I should have this degree, and then I can move on to the next thing. So I
Right.
strongly believe that if our educational system in Nigeria is fixed, the number of persons who would be traveling out to upskill will be drastically reduced. I have that conviction.
Absolutely. And then with the narrative with immigration, I mean, people want to live to better countries, educationally, economic wise, and all. and most importantly, education, which is the foremost intention for most of these travelers. Currently,
Mm-hmm.
there's a wave of changes to policies around immigration. Like a few months ago, UK came up with a policy of dependents not being able to travel with their partners while going for study. And then I think as of few days ago, Canada implemented such policies saying that there's going to be a cap on international students. Now, it's from this situation, you would glean one fact that it seems there's an anti migration movement, especially when it concerns students. There's that movement towards cutting down on people trying to travel out for study. And it paints a picture of, look, we don't need you. But do you think international students generally are dispensable to this economy? Is because these students are coming with huge investments. So
Mm-hmm.
from the narrative, it appears that you're not doing so much. I mean, we're helping you, but that's not the case. Like a 50-50 thing. I bring my money to invest, you give me quality education, but painting a picture of I don't need these students, they're overburdening the economy. Is that a narrative that is commensurate or sensible to the interplay of factors currently?
Well, indeed. But this is quite a sensitive one, and
I know, it's quite sensitive, yeah.
I'm going to try and be careful in giving my answer to this. First
Yes,
of all, and it started since last year, a lot of policy changes are coming in educational sectors in terms of these countries where most people are outside Africa, most people from Africa move to for educational purposes. So first, it was the UK with the ban on bringing in dependents, and then I think Australia followed at some point, and now
right.
Canada with that, which was 2 days ago or yesterday, came up with that
Yeah,
policy of putting a cap at the number of study permits that can be issued
yeah,
per academic year. This is going to have their consequences on students who want to go upskill. You know, what they couldn't get at home, they wish to get abroad. And for any student traveling, there is no poor student who can travel to go and afford education. You make a lot of sacrifices. People sell their properties. Some persons even take loans, hoping that when they get to these places, they complete their studies, they get this degree, and then they can have a better job to repay these loans or to cover for the losses they suffered before leaving their, leaving their home country. And the good side for the economies where these monies are taken to, for example, Canada or the UK, is that, I mean, nobody is too rich that they cannot afford to accommodate more money. So when the
so
student bring in money, the universities are also happy because there is like a lot of income coming in. And if you saw the article in the Financial Times last week, talking about how universities in the UK are already growing because the number of international students who are willing to resume has dropped drastically following the change in policies about bringing in partners and all. So I think it's normally supposed to be a win-win situation between the host countries where the students go to seek education and the students themselves, because these students don't just come to study. While they are studying, they are also actively participating in the economy by doing all those student jobs of 20 hours, and yet the host countries take some amount of money for social contributions from the earnings of these students. So I think while they may be trying to save their system, as they say, because they think the system is being overstressed, they will also
yeah.
feel the impact of limiting the number of students who can come in, or outrightly stopping students from bringing their dependents. I imagine it's tough for married people, for example. You can't travel somewhere for studies of 3 years and you don't have your husband or your wife with you. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Absolutely agree with you on that. But going forward, I mean, there are still some countries that people can explore that have fair immigration policy, especially given the fact of married people you mentioned just now. Like you said, it's so hard living for a new country, leaving your kids, your wife at home. It can be very, very hard to bear. So going forward, are there countries based on your experience over the years that you can recommend for people who wish to go abroad for study? I mean, countries that can still explore, that have a balanced policy, unlike what is being experienced now with the new policies in Canada, Australia, and UK.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm going to say this. You may think I'm being biased because I live in Belgium or something, but personally, I do not see the UK as a choice destination for someone who is seeking quality education. Because if you look at the ranking of universities, for example, by Times and the QS World Ranking of Universities, most of those universities in the UK that are charging fees in thousands of pounds, 15,000, 20,000, they don't even figure in the first 100 universities. But if you look at Belgium, for
I've
example,
got you there. My university, Leicester. It's a world class university. Let's have that on record. Some UK universities, not all.
yeah, but most of them, for example, well, I'm not going to start mentioning names, but if you're talking of, well, the Ivy League universities in the UK,
Yeah.
those ones
Yeah.
like too hard to get in. But again,
Absolutely.
I schooled in a university in Belgium that is in the top 50 by QS World Ranking, number 46 by Times ranking of universities world over. And yet, the tuition fee I had to pay was really, really low compared to what you would pay in the UK, for example. For my LLM, I paid a total of 6,600 euros. But to do the same in the UK, you're looking at 20. How much was your tuition fee?
Wow, my fees for LLM was roughly £20,000. Yeah, £20,000.
Exactly.
That's double yours, I guess. Almost, triple.
Even
Yeah.
triple of it. I paid
Yeah.
6,600 for quality education. And the cost of living around this part of Europe, Belgium, for example, is cheap. You can also talk of France. You can talk of Luxembourg. You can look at Germany. But I do understand too that people may be faced with the challenges of having to learn the language of their host country, but it is doable. You can learn it if you pay attention to it, and there are even courses that are taught in English. So people need to begin to spread their tentacles wider in terms of looking for a study destination. It's not just the UK, Canada, Australia, or the US. There are other places as well.
Yes, thank you for your very insightful perspective on this. I mean, a lot of people are viewing, and I know some would reach out to you. I mean, to point and shine more light on the processes involved in securing admission in Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, and the host countries around your location currently. It's been very, very productive speaking with you, and I look forward to another episode of this discussion on Afro Post Podcast. And please do oblige us again your presence when next we invite you for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. It's been a pleasure talking to you.